been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul.
Biden is a grifter, loser, kid sniffing, woman feeling, bribe taking, plagiarizing loser.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Doing well, Tim. How about you?
Not bad. It's nice out again.
Yeah, I was glad you did a Steve-O. We're a little bit late to the show this morning.
Yeah, I plan on being here at like 9:30. I have an appointment at 9:15 in town. It's really quick. I didn't come here. But I was like, I got to go to the planning zoning office and get a permit for the handicap ramp that I'm building. And I was like, I need to hire him to do this and whatever. So, and of course, I get there and I'm talking, and then it just
it happens. Yeah. Whenever you stop somewhere, you know everybody. So
it was funny because then
somebody's got something to say to you or you to them.
Bert called me this morning, and I didn't answer it because I was feeding the animals with Adelina. And then I'm sitting in Christine's office, and Bert calls there, and it was kind of funny. But then I just called Bert on my way here because I'm like, all right, he's been trying to get hold of me for a few days. But yeah, it's beautiful out. I say beautiful fall day, but it's almost like a beautiful, I don't know, late summer day because it's supposed to be like 80 today. I won't complain.
I know. I wonder if I should water what's left in my garden.
Nah, I wouldn't waste your time.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty close to.
It'll rain again very soon.
I've already tilled up some stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it's supposed to be nice this week. So I just want to like recap the weekend kind of quick, and then we've got some pressing things we want to talk about, especially Newport related today. But really great homecoming weekend. I thought the parade was awesome. I, of course, didn't see it. It was in the parade, but the amount of people I saw out was huge. The biggest I've seen in a long time. And they were kind of spread out. A lot of times, like right around the Common is a lot. And then, sometimes a little bit up by Toll, but it seemed like down by like the pizza place and Dunkin', it seemed like a lot of people came out.
The streets were lined pretty well.
They were. My suggestion is going to be next year, which would have to go to the select board to probably make this happen, but we need to shut down that road completely. No cars on it. So during the period of time from, 10 to 11 when it's over, there'll be no cars allowed on Main Street, period, because it's a danger, first of all. I mean, they do this with like the Fireman's Parade in Claremont. They shut those streets down. That's it. And you have to go around, and we do it once a year. It's not a big deal. It's just and cars stopped because they're coming out of Elm Street there by the health center. So traffic wasn't flowing at that point. But we should many times I've watched this. I'm like, why don't we just shut this down so there's no cars? Period. It's safer for everybody. Then everyone can see on both sides of the street equally without worrying about a car. And Andrew saw this thing, I guess, like, can't get thrown. And, like, there was a car coming and, like, close call kind of. So I'm like, this shouldn't happen. We should just shut it down.
Well, maybe there's some paperwork we need to fill out.
Maybe. So next year, I definitely should work on that. Well, actually, we should work on it sooner, too, because they do the Winter Carnival, and that's the same deal. We should just, during that hour period, it's not a big deal. People know. So another thing, Jim Burrows had said last night at the selectmen meeting, I only got to watch bits and pieces. It was Emilio's birthday, so we went out to eat, and he had said that people are complaining, saying online like it wasn't advertised, and it was kind of funny because Zach White got on one of the Facebook posts and posted like 7 different places where it was advertised, and because I saw that, I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been seeing this on here like a ton. But Jim said we should put it on like the sign that's at the end of the Common right now for the primary.
Yeah, Facebook is useless. Like if you're on Facebook, you're giving away all your data, and as long as you know that, then that's cool. But I refuse to participate in that
But he said we should.
I mean, they have all the data from the facial scans from these videos you upload, but they don't have
we're
all my
well
data.
and above the data issues. Yeah. No. So Jim said we should put it on that sign, which obviously the town would have to do that 'cause the town owns that sign, which I think is a great idea. Good idea. So I think maybe next time it'll be up there. And but I thought it was funny. Zach's like number 1, 2. I think he got up to 7 different places it was posted. So that was kind of funny. So yeah, the parade was great. The football game was the Tigers versus the Toppers was out of Somersworth. Somersworth won the championship the last 2 years. They've been very good for many years. Going to be a tough game. Newport pulled it off 13-12. It's a very, very, very tight game. A little too tight for comfort for me. I was kind of like, come on, like.
It was good. It was two teams similar in capabilities.
Yes,
And
very strong defenses, and it's clearly not the Somersworth team that we faced in the past. They're not at that level they were. I also feel like we have picked our game up, but so we gotta. I mean, that really is the finals. If nothing stupid happens, that will be the final game that they play.
I can think of a year or two ago where everybody was thinking about the next game in Fall Mountain.
When they're all cocky and yeah. I talked about that with Aggie this morning because I'm like, yep, and they deserve to lose, and I was glad they did because they were so cocky and they played bad and they got stomped on. So hopefully this year will be our year. And we were kind of talking to one of the Somersworth coaches about doing something different with the division because there's literally 2 teams in the division that are competitive, and that's Newport and Somersworth. Other than that, we beat Mascoma 40-0. We beat Woodensquam 54-0. Playing Bishop Brady this Saturday. Should be a tighter game, but it's not likely to be it's not this. It won't be a tight game like that. Then we play Franklin, which most likely going to be a complete blowout. And he agreed. Like, yeah, we got to do something different in the division because you need some competition. Like, it's no fun to go beat up on a team.
It was nice. I watched the first half when it was 41-0, and I was like, man, it'll be 80-something by the time the game is over. Like,
and it's not like we don't pull out our star player, starting players. And
I think he'd already put in
JV
guys before the end of the half.
Right.
The first game that I watched this year.
And there's been a couple of those teams that our middle school team probably could have beat. So, which we have a good football team in Newport. We develop them young, so there's some of that, but we need to mix it up.
The town is full of young, mostly boys, if not all boys, playing football from 4:30 in the afternoon until 7 at night.
Yeah, lots of
until it gets dark.
So so hopefully that will
the whole town. It's
it's
almost like being in Texas. It's a football town.
Yeah. So hopefully something will happen there to make it better. But it was nice to see it's homecoming weekend. Did the flyover, which is awesome.
It was perfectly timed. I should have asked somebody. Did they have any pictures of that up?
Yeah, I think there was some.
I'll have to look for them because as soon as he finished the national anthem, the plane hit the end zone to go across the field. It was perfectly timed.
It was so funny because I do the chain, so I'm on the Somersworth side, and the coach that we were talking to was really cool, and he's like, that son of a bitch, because in 2020 when we won the championship, I can't remember his name. I should.
2020?
No, the pilot that in his plane. Man, I can't remember his name. I can tell you right where he lives. I can tell you all kinds of things, but I can't. We'll see if it comes back to me. But anyways, he flew all the way to Somersworth on a cold fall day to do that. And think about it, you have home field advantage, and then that flew over, which was a hit to them. And it was funny because we're joking about that, and but no, it was a great weekend. The band came out, and one thing I said to Aggie is we need to work on this for next year. Every home game should be like last Saturday was. Yeah, maybe don't do the alumni halftime show and stuff like that, but the band should be there. It should be a big thing, not just homecoming. It should be. Out west, down south, whatever. Every game is huge like that. Even high school, they have, for sure.
My hometown's college. It's college level stadium and football field.
Yeah, it's basketball and it's high school.
It was the same size as our town whenever I left there 30 years ago. So in 30 years, they now went from what we basically have, a little bit nicer because it's Texas and football. You know, it's always been a investment, but now, like you wouldn't believe, it's like the CTE times 10.
Right. So I think we should, like put that in the works for next year. Like, hey, the band show up, like, because a lot of schools do that. If they have a band, they're at every game, and they're cheerleaders are at every game and all that kind of stuff.
They play the fight song every time a touchdown scored.
Right. So
get the crowd fired up. So
stuff we can is great. And I was like, hey, we would add to it to make it better, like, because trying to constantly improve, right? Like, so, so that game was over and then went from there to the soccer game, homecoming.
Well, I would also say that it'd be nice to see a large turnout for any of the games because we have competitive teams pretty much across the board.
We do.
Some programs are rebuilding, and they're getting there. They're finding their stride a little bit later in the season, like the girls soccer team that we watched after the football game.
Yeah, so they played Stevens, and Stevens is really good, especially this year, but they're good. Last time we played them, we lost 8-0, and we lost 3-0. So,
Skylar was great in goal.
It was a good game.
We just got to push the ball on their end further. Like the first half, we had it down there, threatening kind of. Had some, free kicks, I think is what they call them, but not enough. But they look good.
They're getting better and better.
And for a loss, as much as you can give a compliment, they're getting better.
Yeah. So then last night, the girls soccer team, the varsity girls, traveled to Somersworth, and so did the JV football team. Now, this is the funny part here. I find it odd, very odd. So, 13-12 win, tight game. Easily could have lost that game. Super tight. And our JV team went down last night, and I believe that they beat them 42-0.
Well, their varsity, at least who they had dressed, was twice the amount of subs that we had.
So, what I think, and I talked to Aggie.
So maybe they don't, maybe they're not on the JV or.
Well, so this is what I'm thinking is, I was talking to Aggie, which is John Proper's wife, who was
the coach
of the football team. I said, I don't understand how, that's a big difference. Like, I figure competitive game, still you could win maybe, and I think the difference is we develop these kids really young playing football. We have a great youth football and up through. But
as
other schools,
previously mentioned, nice callback.
Yeah. But other schools might not necessarily have that. They may just be like, we have a really good, solid varsity team, but we don't. We're solid up through. Now, we don't win every game and everything, but we're solid in middle school. We're solid in JV.
The kids in the elementary school, I don't know if I ever told you, but I worked there 5 years ago, long-term sub. But they love football. Yeah. Like during football season, like that's what you got to talk to mostly the boys.
Yeah.
Like, hey, focus on work. Because they're talking about either the varsity game or their game or both, trying to relive it on a Monday. Anyways.
So the highlight of last night, of course, didn't go. I thought about it, but of course, yesterday was Amelia's birthday, so we were just going out to dinner with him, and I'm kind of like, But the soccer team won last night, 7-1.
Nice.
It's the first one on the season. They have 2 ties. The rest are their losses. But today at 4, they're playing Hillsborough Deering, which I believe is another team that's kind of closer to us competitive-wise. So there's a decent chance today, and then we play Bishop Brady, and I have no clue how Bishop Brady's soccer team is, but they've got a couple weeks left, and hopefully they can pull a few more wins off. So congratulations, ladies. You've worked really hard, and it's tough to go out and feel like you're going to lose every game, and you've lost a lot, but I'm telling you what, when you guys only lost 5-2 to Sunapee, and one of them, honestly, was pretty much a goal we kicked in. So it really was a 4-2 game. Now, Sunapee isn't the caliber team that in the past few years, because we used to lose to them 15-20-0, but our team is definitely getting a lot better, and I 3 seniors on the team this year. So I see a lot of potential, too, as long as these girls come back and keep working it. And but no, congratulations on the win. I was shocked when my daughter texted me. She's like, we won. I was like, of course, I'm not there and you win, but I was like, that's awesome. So hopefully they can do well again later today. And then we play Bishop Brady on Saturday at Bishop Brady at 2, which should be a decent game. It was a decent game last year. It wasn't the blowout, but it but like you said, it depends who shows up that day, right? If you think you're gonna beat them and you show up, then a lot of times you lose because you gotta get out of your head. You have a task and you need to. Underdogs always play harder anyways, so you should always try to be an underdog in your head because you'll play harder. And at the end of the game, if you lose, you lose. But don't get cocky like you did in 21, I think it was, and lost. Yeah, so that's just a little recap of the weekend. It was a great weekend.
Did you ever find out who was homecoming king?
I don't think they did it.
No, well, Emma was queen.
Oh,
from the soccer team.
No clue.
Yeah, because we were in the parade, so I didn't see the float go by, but I saw Emma afterwards.
Huh. Because Emma was dressed as Harley Quinn, and I don't know. See, they used to do that with the bonfire that we used to have that they don't do anymore. And pep rally and all that.
Yeah. Uniquely Newport's going, we're catching up to the 21st century. No community, everybody sits in their home, orders everything online, trust whatever jack wagons tell them to include.
We could change this, just want to point this out.
You, whatever, like, I don't know.
We have the power to change it.
Well, I mean, I feel like I go to a lot of things and participate. Maybe I need to go more often. But
no, I wasn't meaning that.
What were you thinking?
We're both on the school board. I'm pretty sure we could make this bonfire thing happen next year.
There's probably a lot of bureaucracy lined up against us on that one.
I'll fight for it.
Hey, we did our own bonfire during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, if we don't do a bonfire next year, that's what will happen because next year Amelia will be a senior. So
everybody will miss out for the. I don't know. It was a good tradition.
It was. I mean, yeah, last year they did it. It wasn't good because that was. I thought they were gonna have to call mutual aid because that fire was laying down like 100-foot flames out because it was windy.
Well, see, that's probably one of the reasons why. Like,
okay, but that was just a bad night to do how you did it. We could change it and make it more
right.
safe, suitable.
So let me be devil's advocate for 10 seconds. You stack all that wood on Thursday afternoon or Friday afternoon before Friday evening.
Yeah.
I would suspect you do it probably a day ahead of time.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And then the weather goes bad on Friday.
Yeah.
Because they've said 8% chance of rain, and then it rains for like 4 hours.
See,
so like you can't trust the weather prediction. So I'm just being devil's advocate. So
but here's the thing.
Now you got to remove all that because you're
this
not going to have time to do the bonfire.
This is what I feel like you do. Now, the reason we can't really do it at the high school anymore is the soccer fields there and stuff, right? So things have changed. I acknowledge that. I'm fine with it. Yep, okay. But Meadow Park, Meadow Field, whatever, Horsey Park, whatever you want to call it, there's no baseball field down there anymore. They don't use the field for athletics per se. They might do some stuff. No, I don't even think the little kids play down there. But anyways, that thing's huge. So if you set the bonfire up in the middle of that, you're roped off 75 feet around it or something so no one can go in it. And then we rented some or got donations or whatever and had some of those, gas-powered big tower lights. And you could do it down there. There's a bathroom already there. Like, you could do it there. Just take some planning. But, I mean, now, like I said, this would never have happened this year. Well, last year anyways because, Hunter would never let any of that shit happen. That he wasn't completely.
Yeah, he's not a Newport guy.
No. But
in my opinion.
But anyways, there's potential. So, all right, let's get into some other things. So, there was a selectmen's meeting last night. Like I said, I only got to watch little snippets. But apparently, I hate to talk about this not seeing it, but apparently Jeff North brought some stuff up because it sounded like they're going to do like a groundbreaking ceremony kind of thing for the community center, yet they don't have all the funding for it yet. So, he's obviously not happy about that. But so I won't talk a ton about that. We'll do another show later this week. We'll watch it, and then we'll really get into it because I don't want to be talking out my ass and then be like, that's not what happened at all, Tim, you idiot. But I did watch some of the talk about the sewer treatment plant. And Jeff's talking like the rates could be 200% increase. And no one corrected him on it because last we heard it was, 125?
Well, the thing that bothers me about it is it produces 1/3 less of the capacity, or right?
Right. Supposedly,
Allegedly,
less.
it handles less, and it's $28 million. But granted, the town's on the hook for 14, half of that.
Still, it's no different. Yeah, but then they couldn't answer the question of they don't know what it's going to cost to run this thing. Which, okay, if I'm the engineer and I'm coming to you with this plan, this is what we're going to do. I should know how much it costs to run that system. I mean,
unless it's a new system, are we the first ones ever getting this?
Even then,
what are the other towns in the state doing? I wonder if they're paying $28 million in a 6,000 citizen town to.
But even then, though, if you're the engineer and you designed it, yes, are you going to know maybe exactly to the dollar? No, but you should be able to get us within.
You should be like, it's going to take 3 people, and you're going to need to replace these chemicals or
right.
this.
You have to have some
cleaning.
idea.
Like you
can't just design it and not know. That can't happen. It has to be approved by the state, the EPA probably, and all. Like, you can't just be like, well, we don't know anything about how the system's. Okay, so we're going to spend $28 million, and you don't know anything about how the system works or what? No, that's an excuse. Like,
I got nothing for that. I voted against it. I'm not afraid to say it. I disagree with it. I think it's detrimental to our older citizens in town that are living on a fixed budget, that are on city sewer.
It's going to run them all out.
On top of other things, but yeah, that's just one of many things that the town is doing to make it less comfortable for its citizens for some reason. Like, the town is angry at us and wants it. Like, I think they think they're doing something good. I obviously, I don't think anybody is maliciously doing anything. I want to make that clear. But I don't think the thought process, the second and third order effects are being contemplated and taken seriously. Like, you can't just say, well, we'll deal with that, in 3 years or whatever, because we got to where we're at with the sewer plant because they kept saying we'll deal with that because, what is it, 60 years or 50 years old, they said? I don't know, pretty old. So, like, the town pipes, the water pipes that are from 1890, I don't know when they're from, but, like, they all need to be replaced.
Well, that was mentioned last night, too, because
to me, it seems like that would be more important to get our
clean
intake,
water.
like get healthy water, like we can deal and fix with, because we already have a sewer system that's working.
No, we're at Flint, Michigan in the making. So there was a resident that stood up at public forum.
I mean, that's a bold statement, but yeah, it's. I haven't seen the pipes, but they're what, clay or porcelain? Lead? What are they?
Yeah, no, they're not lead. A lot of them are either going to be like ductile. They're going to be iron, metal material that way. They're not copper. They're not. Today they don't even use that. They use it's like Schedule 35. It's like SDR 35, like the pipe we use, but it's thicker. It's plastic pushed together. That's what they use now.
See, I'm concerned about microplastics in my water. So it's.
Yeah. But anyways, this guy comes and stands up and says the town is working on, like Joe with this water department is working on this, but he said suddenly in the last 3 weeks or something, his water has gotten like dirty, like brown, and he's on, I think he said North Main Street. So I'm like, oh, that's good. High school gets the water through there too. And they've tested it. He said they tested the water and the level's double what it should be or whatever. And I'm thinking it's just double as in the sense of like iron, manganese, that kind of thing. It's not like it's
something churned out the bottom of the reservoir, all that rain last week.
No, my guess is there's probably a hole in the pipe somewhere and it's pulling in stuff, and you just haven't seen the leak yet. But at least it's old cast iron pipe. It's junk, right? So it's coming. And then now we can't blame the select board for this. Because here's the problem, and we've said this before and I've seen it before. If the town doesn't vote on an article to upgrade stuff, guess what? They don't upgrade it. They kick the can down the road, and then we all suffer for it. Now, I don't remember the last time there was any sort of articles on there for a big upgrade.
Well, we had the $3 billion one that fell through, right? And then we got nothing for wasting our time and money.
That was like at least 10 years ago.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that wasn't recent.
Wow.
That was quite a while ago. But the other thing, like, so we're talking about the $20 million, the sewer plant, town trying to pay, blah, blah. The problem is, and I think you're right, none of the board of selectmen are like, just say like, screw it, we don't care, we're going to just shove this down the throats of the residents. It's not that at all.
No, I don't think so.
No, they're sitting in that chair and they're scared of the state of New Hampshire. And they're scared of the federal government. Like, grow some balls and tell the state and tell the federal government to fuck off and you fix it.
Well, that's what everybody kept saying.
Right.
That even a lot of people were, well, the EPA will shut us down and we won't be able to do anything. Like, how are they going to shut a whole town down? How is that going to work?
Tell me in the U.S. history where that's happened.
They're going to not let me get water because of a sewage treatment plant that we've been using for 50 years that, I don't know.
And the levels
we haven't gotten
high.
any complaints about.
It's not like the sewer is running in the river. It's not like raw sewage running in the river. No, the phosphorus levels and whatever levels are too high.
Because they've changed the standards.
Well, that's probably a part of it. If you look back,
I'm
sure it's that.
I think I remember them saying some standards have been
right. Just like the lead for the school.
Right.
Oh, there's lead in the pipes and all. It went from 15 parts per billion to 5. They changed the number.
Yeah.
They didn't change anything else. They changed the number. But it's okay at your house. It's just not okay at the school. So your kids can get 15 parts per billion at their house, no problem. They come to school. They're only allowed to have 5.
Yeah. Well,
it's
the cynic in me says, well, that's to cause more taxes and right. Like it's just creating stress. Like the government should be to make things easier.
Yeah.
But like you shouldn't even know the government exists in a real free society. Like it'd be like, oh well, like all these licenses that I need. I don't need a freaking license for half the things that they say I shouldn't have to have a license. If I'm free, I shouldn't.
You're not free.
I should be checking the government, finding out how much gas they're wasting in their vehicle, sitting in a parking lot, letting the car run in the winter while they eat their cheeseburger. That's what should be getting audited, not
It's funny, though, because
my phosphorus parts per billion.
It's funny because they can run.
Not that we have that,
but they can run their car as long as they want. But supposedly, there's something that you're only supposed to run your car 15 minutes or whatever. Which I run my car as long as I want. Like you're not going to tell me what the fucking.
Well, they will if it's newer than like a 2008 model. They can basically shut you down.
Some of the newer vehicles supposedly shut off after X amount of time, like the brand new ones or something. But I don't know. But. So that's where kind of where it came to. And
Big brother.
So instead, I asked the state, okay, so what are we going to do when our residents can't afford it? And the state's going to be like, well, that's not our issue. No, the fuck it is your issue. You represent us just like they represent us. You are our government. So you can't say, well, that's your problem. You figure it out. No,
like, so I would agree with that if they would stop taking all my tax dollars.
Right. Yeah, if they said, hey, you know what we're going to do? As Newport Select Board, we're not going to take taxes from your town for the next 5 years to help you figure this out. Oh, okay. All right. Now I guess it is my problem because you're not. No, we're going to keep taking the money. And people don't understand this is how the system works. The government, all of it, this is how it works.
Unelected officials threaten your elected officials.
And it works on fear. If you just stood up and say, nope, not going to do it, you'd be surprised what they can't do. They talk big. I watched this congressional bullshit the other day with COVID, and there's 2 guys are there, and they're answering questions, and like, oh, well, we didn't mandate fucking masks, and we didn't mandate vaccines, and they're like, yeah, you did. And he's like, well, we can't do that. We recommended. No, if you go back, my memory is decent. No, it was pretty much they forced the shit down your throat, or okay, you're not going to go to work anymore. You're not going to do this. So
that's kind of like when we went to the school board as concerned parents.
Right.
The first thing that was said is, well, we won't get any grant money.
And we were dumb enough to wear masks. Dumb enough to go into those meetings to wear masks.
I didn't want to end up creating a scene. I wanted to be able to say what I wanted to say. But yeah, you're right. I should have just walked in there and been like, F your mask, man. Because that's how I felt about them.
And if we'd done that, would they have done nothing? Just like when they call the cops on Bert Spalding, and Bert's like, go ahead. Guess what? Cops can't do nothing because they can't violate his rights. But you think, and they put the fear in you. Oh, he's going to call the cops. I better go. Call them.
Yeah, you got to get to that
point. Let's do
this.
Let's go to court. Let's do this.
Yeah,
You can't. It's all based on fear. All of it. Oh, if you don't do this, we're going to do this. Actually, you're not going to do jack shit because you work for us. It is the people's government.
Yeah, I've seen some articles about people like electing new school boards and they fire everybody because of all the craziness. Select boards, like there's some people are starting to realize that everything that we were taught in school has like a little asterisk next to it because we're told one thing, but then we're told, but it's a little bit different now because we're more evolved and whatever. No, we're not evolved. Like we're just allowing incompetence and not holding people accountable for bad decisions. If you fail to do something, how is that my fault?
Right.
If you get sick, how is that my fault? You should be in good shape. You should whatever. If I am sick, I shouldn't go into public places. Like that's the one thing I think that COVID should have taught everybody is when you're sick, stay home.
No, because we've literally become.
It doesn't matter what you're sick with. If you're sick and you think it's contagious, especially if you have a fever, because that's what I was always taught as a kid. If you have a fever, you're contagious until usually 24 hours after your fever breaks. That's like, what's wrong with that rule? Like that society worked perfectly fine up until 2020.
No, now we're just a nation of victims at this point.
Everybody's
a victim.
I'm a victim, man. I'm a victim of all these bad government decisions.
Everyone's a victim. You're letting yourself be victimized.
You are. You're allowing people who should not have, and this is like beyond local, all right? I'm talking
absolutely.
National level.
Yeah,
this is like
big scheme, big.
Yeah, they have no authority like over New Hampshire. New Hampshire and the other states should be telling the federal government what to do. Instead, we have 100 senators all acting on behalf of whoever paid them the most to get them elected, or
think about it.
Contributions.
Texas put that floating wall in the Rio Grande. Okay, the Biden administration sued them, saying you have to remove it. First of all, Biden administration, you have no authority whatsoever. States' rights trump federal law.
Well, the federal government is supposed to secure the borders. I'm pretty sure that's in the Constitution. Like that's
right, but they're not. They're letting them in, just flowing right through.
I know.
So now, finally, after 4 years,
so Texas does have a right to. If they're not going to do it, then Texas should do it.
Well, now Texas has declared it basically an invasion, a statute in the Constitution that they have a right to defend their border, which.
Well, it's funny because Pritzker from Illinois was complaining about the illegal aliens that are coming up into Chicago, the Illinois area. And what he didn't say was shut down the border. What he did say was call for more bureaucracy from the government, that they needed more money, they needed more systems. Like, this is what they do. So now there's an emergency, so now we need a system. We're not going to give them a driver's license, but we're going to scan everybody. We got to scan you too, even though you're not an illegal, right, because we got to make sure that you're okay to be here. No one needs to get scanned. Like, just turn them all around.
Yeah,
you should you're here. Sorry. And then have massive camps along the border, and then maybe people will stop coming whenever people, unfortunately, realize how horrible the conditions are there, because you're not going to get asylum if you're a 20 to 49-year-old male. Like, you need to go fight for your asylum in your own country.
Yeah, no, because the government has this thing where they create the issue. Oh, well, we've got the solution too.
Yeah, well, that's what I got from
more money and less freedoms for you.
That was what was interesting about Pritzker's comment, because it wasn't like solve the problem. The problem would be solved by shutting the border down and then creating a system to remove all these illegals to get it back to where our tax dollars, any of them that are actually invested back into the United States, come to Americans. Like, it's just that simple. Like, I don't.
And I'm telling you right now, you can say
I don't have anything against people looking for a better life. Like, if I were there, I would want to come here too. But I'm the kind of guy that would do it the right way.
I'm telling you right now, if you did a poll,
or I would have pride and try to save my town, kind of like the things that we purport to be doing. I don't know if we're helping any much, but we're trying to raise issues. So there's conversations. You got to have conversations.
But if you have this conversation, they're going to say, oh, you're a racist because you're a white male and you don't want, minorities coming into your country. You know what? If you had a poll right now, a legit poll, the minorities that came in this country legally are more against this illegal invasion than me and you are, because they had to do it the legal way, the right way,
they
the
had to have a
expensive
skill
way.
set.
Exactly. And now we're just letting them flood in. New York's all in a big panic because they want more money now. You said, Mayor Adams, that you take all these people, no problem. Well, you realize all those people came from Texas through their border, 8 million of them, and you're crying about 100,000 of them or whatever you're at now. Luckily, residents are starting to stand up there, and it's
Well, they're kicking. I saw, and it's probably anecdotal, but they kicked some Korean War vet out of his wherever he was staying.
Well, yeah, they're not going to put him in a hotel room.
So that they could put illegal aliens, as I like to call them.
Yeah, they're not immigrants; they're aliens. They're not legally here.
Yeah. Anyway.
But don't worry, your veterans are in the streets that fought for your country, and they're starving without food. But that illegal that came here and doesn't even give a shit about your country or your
while waving their country's flag, mind you.
Yes.
Not all of them, but there's enough to where there's
lot.
pictures of it to get a guy like me to think, they really don't want to be here. They're just here to take advantage of my tax dollars that I don't want to pay taxes anymore. Like the federal government doesn't deserve my money. Is the way I look at it. Like if they're going to not invest in America, the United States, they don't need my money. Like $200 million a day to Ukraine for a war that most of us are and
they want to give them another They said another 60 to 70 billion a year.
I have said it many times on the show. I studied politics. The fall of the Berlin Wall occurred right before I graduated from high school, and so I studied American politics. The biggest thing that Boris Yeltsin and all the other former Soviet Union member leaders said was, do not expand NATO. We look at that as a threat. And so what did NATO do? They kept expanding all the way to where it was their red line. So Russia can't have a red line, but we can.
I watched this Tucker Carlson clip.
Like, you got to have mutual respect. Like we may not have the same culture and values, but they have theirs. Let them be, as long as they're not messing and killing people. Like I advocate saving, like genocide is wrong, right? So obviously, if that's going on and we're the big guy with the big stick, then yeah, we need to go in there and stop it. I have no qualms with that. But to sit there and act like this is some big surprise and Russia's bad, like Russia's told you they were going to do this for 30 years. Like,
NATO was,
you can go look it up, if it's still out there.
But NATO was formed to keep this at bay, right? NATO, because
the Soviet Union.
Yes, because there was this whole thing. Tucker Carlson said that maybe it's something Trump said or whatever, and he's like, "What?" And then he looked it up and he got into it, and he's like, "Holy shit, you're right. NATO stands for this, and NATO shouldn't even
North Atlantic Treaty Organization,
right.
Which
and it didn't even. And first of all,
it should have went away when the Soviet Union collapsed. That's basically what I learned in college 30 years ago.
And NATO doesn't do jack shit. They just make the United States. So the United States will have to do it.
Well, the United States pays for a lot of it.
But you know
somehow
what
other countries, generals get promoted to, was it Secretary General, whatever position? I don't know. As an American, I would not want to take orders from anybody other than an American officer. That's just my...
Nor should you.
No, but if you're attached to NATO and you got a British guy who outranks you telling you to do something, you're supposed to do it if it's legal.
You know, it's always our money that funds these things. It's funny, though, because we watch this thing and they're like, oh, we're the 10th lowest country in the world that's given money to Ukraine. And it wasn't based on numbers because we've given them substantially more money.
It's $200-something million a day.
Yeah. Well, no, they were doing it based on...
Isn't it?
They were doing it based on the percentage of our budget. So we're giving less percentage of our budget to them than the rest of the world, so we're doing less for them. Even though we're giving them more.
Even though our budget
money.
Is overinflated because we're $33 trillion in debt.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe our budget should come down and maybe our donations to other countries should go down.
You think how much money we spend and how quickly you probably could solve this whole deficit we're in if you just shut down most of these organizations.
Well, that's why I was hoping the government would shut down for a good 30, 45 days and get us to realize that we don't really need all of it.
No, didn't McCarthy do some backdoor deal? And
yeah.
So
that's just again proving what we've been saying for almost a year and a half now.
Oh,
There's no two-party system anymore. It's a uniparty.
Oh,
they all work together.
I have a
because
prediction right here.
if they don't vote to vacate, then the Democrats are in cahoots with the majority of the Republicans. That's the only way about it. Like, why would they care?
Gates just called for the vote, so now they have to vote on the speaker again because they put that in there, which they should. And of course, McCarthy's like, oh, Gates just has a personal problem. Yeah, no, because you're not doing your freaking job. That's what it is.
Well, he still hasn't released the January 6 tapes that he said he would 8 months ago or however long ago.
Here's my prediction. Now, normally, McCarthy would be in trouble because the Democrats are going to vote for their own guy anyways, right? And then you're going to have to figure it out with the Republicans. I predict that Democrats are going to back McCarthy, thus proving even more to everyone in this country that there's no such thing as Democrat Republican. They're just career politicians that are sucking the life out of our country
on
as they
behalf
get
of
rich.
the corporations and the oligarchs. And I mean, it's no longer a constitutional republic. They do that by telling you all that it's a democracy. Well, democracy is majority rules, and our system of government is supposed to protect from the tyranny of the majority.
Right. It's supposed to be based on these laws, but the federal government doesn't follow any laws.
Oh, I know. They're out there trying to convince the majority of people who didn't receive or pay attention in civics class about the Electoral College and how good of a system that's supposed to be because it keeps New York, California, and Texas from choosing all the laws. That prevents tyranny of the majority. That's why it's a constitutional republic. But I digress. Most of our viewers probably already understand the system of governance. However, democracy is tyranny of the majority.
And you don't want those states choosing your laws because look how much rundown shitholes they've become. California, New York,
they're horrible.
Yeah. And you wait. Newsom will end up running for president. Can you imagine if that man was president? He'd be worse than the one we got now.
I don't know.
Day one, he'd be trying to take your guns. And implementing other friggin' left nut job friggin'.
See, that's how I like with the whole Mexico and Russia being on Mexico on our border. And there's also allegations that the Chinese military was up doing maneuvers in Canada. I don't know, about a year ago or 10 months ago, maybe longer. They can do all that, but the one thing that everybody understands about America is you don't do a land invasion. Because there's like 2.3.
You don't have to, though.
There's 2 point. Well,
they're destroying us from within.
Yeah. So because they know that they can't, they're doing an immigration invasion to change our voting patterns so that they can buy the votes. Is how they word it is that they can buy the votes. But I have a sinking suspicion when vote counting stops in 5 states from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. that it doesn't matter who's voting and how hard you vote in those states, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious that there's an anomaly there. And if that's not obvious to you, then you're not looking at it critically and you're not taking emotion out of it. Take your emotion out of it and say, what would happen? What would you do if Trump was losing by 10% in those states and then they shut everything down and people were putting poster boards up to protect you from seeing the windows, people were pulling out stuff? You would be going crazy. Yeah. You would say it's an illegitimate election,
right?
And something's not right here. And the problem is I know that there's something not right because they don't address it and say, hey, this was wrong. We're punishing these people. They're getting a civil case. They're getting a criminal case because
they secretly go to jail.
Violated it.
Yeah. Oh, there's been a ton of people who have gone to jail for this. They just don't talk about it. Wouldn't you?
No, because they want to keep you in the dark so that you and I are called crazy and people will ignore us.
Conspiracy theorists. You can't see it? Does anyone know anything about Rome? Rome was the greatest empire ever.
Yeah, the military was out all over the world conquering, and then because of buffoonery and lack of morals and courage and discipline, accountability, responsibility, nobody was responsible for anything. Nobody was held accountable or responsible.
The other thing Rome did a lot of at the
allegedly.
End. Lots of
according to the history I read.
Lots of circuses.
Yeah,
to entertain the
NFL,
people.
NCAA, all that stuff is to distract you
from what's happening right around you currently.
Bread and circuses. That's the.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, as long as you know that that's there to distract you, you can still enjoy it. I don't enjoy it because I don't like all the politics that they brought into it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be you're supposed to watch it and not think about all the BS going on around the world, but instead they put it right in your face, so you're constantly, your emotions are always up and ramped. Either you're happy, you're mad, you're fearful, you're angry. Like, happiness isn't usually one of them, but
no, you
got to find your happiness. You got to realize that life is good. If you work hard, you do your best. What else can you ask for? And I think most people that we will ever encounter are like that. There are some people who just like hate their job and don't care, whatever. Like that happens, and all of us have bad days on the job. But I'm talking about blatantly not representing the people that you serve at the national level is out of control.
Yeah.
To sit there, I mean, that's just crazy.
I mean, stuff gets to the point where you watch it now. It's so crazy and so like you can't do that, and they do it, and they're like, oh, okay, like, holy shit,
it's crazy.
At what point do you stand up and say, oh yeah, I don't think so. That shit ain't happening.
It's like everything that I've ever seen that says it just takes people to stand up and be courageous and say, no, you know what, EPA, come at me, but until you come up with a better than a $28 million system, this is what our town can afford. So put your money into investing in some, technology that will provide us a cheap, low cost, low impact water treatment system. You're telling me that the EPA can't say, hey, 28 million is kind of high for yours. Like, there's no one in that organization that says this is kind of high. Or the USDA, because didn't they get a grant from the USDA Agriculture for that? They don't have anybody in that office that says, wow, $28 million, and it's a third less of the capacity than what they've been doing. They're getting kind of ripped off here, or something doesn't seem right, or let me make sure that they're not getting bamboozled because they're not all water treatment engineers, and they're trusting people to tell them the right thing. And that's what happens is we trust someone comes in there and says something. Oh, I'm an engineer. Okay, well, I trust you, which is interesting because I watched a clip this morning listening to an engineer talk about something else. Gave me some.
Well, when the head of the EPA is sitting in front of Congress and can't answer a goddamn basic question about like the carbon emission or whatever that's being released in the air, they have no clue. And they run the organization that shoves all this shit down your throat, and they don't know. Huh.
They know.
And it wasn't like, hey, let's give them a hard one, like something that no one would know. No, it was like a basic thing.
Well,
and then the rest of them in front of Congress don't answer freaking questions anyways. Why aren't they held in contempt? Me and you would be held in contempt and in jail. But the DOJ, so Garland can sit there and say anything he wants with no consequences. He can lie and have no consequences, or just not answer. And Christopher Wray can sit there and answer nothing.
Fauci can
lie and say nothing, yet nothing happens to them.
That's how you know that the country's messed up. Like, I look at that and I'm like, yep, it's messed up. We need to fix it. We're not going to be able to vote our way out of it if we're going to have 2 a.m. shutdowns in swing states. Doesn't matter how hard you vote.
Apparently the numbers have come back from Arizona, too, and they say what they said. Election fraud. Trump won that state. But this won't be the right one. This guy was contaminated. We got to get another guy in there to do a study, and he will maybe come up with a different number. Like, how can't you see it? Like, how can't people just see, okay, you don't like Trump, he's an asshole, whatever. I hate Joe Biden. I think he's a piece of shit. I wish he'd fall down them stairs and lights out. But you know what? I still can see past, like, oh, okay. People can't see past it. You've literally been programmed like, you got to hate Donald Trump. Right? Why? What has Donald Trump done so fucking bad? Oh, he runs his business like shit. He's an asshole. I don't care. They run the government like shit, which affects us every day. yet that doesn't bother you? It doesn't bother you that China's been paying his family millions of dollars? They've literally proved it. That doesn't bother you? Because 50 years ago, they would have set him up on the front lawn and he would have faced a firing squad because this country would not have tolerated a traitor.
No, this country is weak. They have,
so weak.
They have weakened everybody's resolve.
Jesus Christ, we locked up people, Asian people, in concentration camps during World War II because we were so worried that they might report back to Japan and, you know, we're at war with them. They did that in this country to protect this country. And now you have a president of the United States of America being paid by China. And I would argue that you got a lot of people in Congress and Senate being paid by Ukraine.
Professors at your highest
yes,
universities.
And it's just, oh, it's okay. Because people have gotten so freaking weak and you care so much what people think of you.
They don't have loyalty to the country because they've been told that our country is not as good as it is. Our country used to be a beacon of hope.
You want to find some loyalty real quick? Why don't you go to one of these really bad countries and live there for a little bit? And I bet you come back begging, please let me back in, let me live here in America where you actually are free to do stuff and you have rights, where these other countries you have none of it. Maybe that's what you need. You know, it's like an automatic, you know, used to be you had to sign up, you automatically served, right? The draft or whatever. You automatically a lot of countries, not draft. Yeah. A lot of countries,
like Israel, everybody serves in the military in one form or fashion from like 18 to 20 or whatever.
So maybe it needs to be something like that. Like, hey, you need to go check out some of these other countries and really see how bad they are.
I don't know though, because our military is pretty woke right now. So they've seen, some of them have seen other countries, and they're perfectly fine with victimizing themselves while they're in a position of power. It's kind of weird.
It's pretty scary.
Some of them are in positions of power, and then they're also in an organization of power.
There's a lot of that organization of power.
This whole system is rigged.
It is. Anyways, so tonight there's a zoning board meeting at 6:30 in the Selectmen's room for the Sunapee Street project. I think you're going.
Well, I think maybe other school board members going, so I think it's posted.
It is, yeah. So if you should show up and ask questions and stuff on that. Yeah, I mean that's what's happening right now. We have a school board meeting next Thursday.
I will be out of town for that.
That's right, you're gone.
Just a quick trip.
So I have a clip I'm going to put at the end of the show that, as long as it works, it's on. I think it's on my phone. I downloaded it. I think it's like 5 minutes long. It's another one of these. Was it DeSoto? What's the guy that did the mules? The ballot harvesting one.
Oh,
Indian guy.
Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes, it's another one of his. It kind of goes in everything we spoke about today and about freedoms and the government and the power of the government. And he's got a new movie coming out, but there's a clip for it, and holy shit, like it puts everything into perspective. Some people still won't believe it because some people you just.
There's like I approach everything with a healthy dose of skepticism because I know how much I don't know. And so as much as I talk very assuredly and confidently, you can sit me down and have a conversation with me and show me some facts, and I'll analyze them and change my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think you present any facts about why it was smart for the country to let 8 million illegals in.
No, that's
counting.
They're doing it to Europe and to the U.S., probably Canada too. I don't know. I mean, Canada's got a communist ruler already, so they maybe they don't need to up there.
Apparently, some shit.
They're just burning everything down, allegedly.
Apparently, some shit going on up there because.
Well, I mean, he is a liar. He is racist. I mean, he wore blackface twice? Did they have photos of him? I mean, back in the day, that was considered racist. I mean, it's not my decision to call, but I know that they have canceled people for the same or less.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got nothing for Canada. I feel sorry for the Canadian citizens that are,
I think
and Australia.
Australia's even worse, but
New Zealand.
Don't wake up one day and look back and be like, oh, here we are. Man, we're Australia during COVID. How do we get here?
Complying and not standing up and saying, no, thank you.
And then saying it's people like us that were idiots and we're conspiracy theorists and blah, blah, blah. Like,
I might be an idiot. I might be an idiot, but let's talk about it and let's find out what the real truth is, because it's not whatever they're selling on TV. It's not whatever the politicians are telling you in newspaper or in their speeches.
Nope. All right, guys. So, meeting tonight, 6:30 at the zoning board office. If you can show up.
The select board, right?
Select board office, select board office, zoning board meeting. Enjoy the weather. It's supposed to be nice all week. There's a field hockey or soccer game at 4 today, and then again Thursday at Bishop Brady. And the girls field hockey had a game last night and won, so they're 9 or 10-1 on the season now. They're doing awesome. So
great job.
So some great things that are happening in our community, and we're just striving to make it better and stop being a bunch of fools and just buying on everything you see and hear. So have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Tim and Steve Show.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Chief Division Counsel and DOJ have approved a no-knock breach. We want the subject to be on display, doing the walk of shame, full visual impact. Any questions?
Are we becoming a police state?
Government told American citizens they couldn't go to church on Sunday.
I've never seen anything like it. It may be the Russia other people grew up in, but not my America.
FBI warrant, come to the door now!
There's a heavy banging at my door. Open up! There's 15 marked units on my property. I got SWAT in the back of my house.
It took a battering ram to my door.
6 a.m., I hear boom, 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 and hear about 6 to 8 military-style soldiers, with the tallest one of them pointing an automatic rifle at my head. FBI, we have an arrest warrant!
Shock you out of sleep, drag you out of your house half clothed, refuse to give you a warrant, ransack your house.
Now I'm facing 15 years in federal prison
for doing nothing other than exercising my right to free speech.
I had no reason to be attacked.
I hope that you remember Matt's name and the role you played in killing him.
How did we give the state this kind of power?
9/11 changed everything.
We're going to expand the Bureau from law enforcement to domestic intelligence. Legal shackles are now off.
It used to be Islamic terrorism. That threat is kind of dissipated.
Our focus is shifting.
They're moving to domestic extremism. It really paints anybody who's right of center.
What we need is a person to look at. And then we go find out what crime you did.
If you're a pro-life, pro-family Catholic, they define you as radical.
The demand for domestic terrorism vastly outstrips the supply.
When candidate Trump came down the escalators, the government had a meltdown.
We are going to drain the swamp. We'll see about that.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
The Patriot Act and FISA were used against Donald Trump.
Google literally rewrote their news algorithm based upon what Trump was doing so that they could get this guy.
You just take out the word Russiagate and you put in COVID origins. You take out COVID origins and you put in Hunter Biden's laptop. You take that out and you put in January 6th. It's the replicated play from the deep state and their partners in the media.
They're not just deplatforming you. They are trying to throw people in prison.
If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Hands on your head! These are anti-government.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech!
Violent extremists, and they must be dealt with. We can do anything we want.
Police State. Exclusively in theaters October 23rd and 25th. Tickets sold only on policestatefilm.net.
There's not a pill you can take. There's not a class you can go to. stupid is forever.
Man north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have